Hi, everyone. Welcome to A New View. I'm Kim, and I'm here with Shira, Lee, and Juji. We are four friends, speakers, and professionals from different cultures, backgrounds, and age groups coming together to offer healing and inspiration. It's not a coincidence that we're all wearing black for today's episode, as we are going to talk about our different perspectives of death. Ladies, who would like to start us off?
Ooh, I will. So I came across this quote recently, which really struck me between my eyes. And the quote says, "It's the question mark that comes with death that we cannot face, not the period," which I found super interesting because so many different cultures deal with death so differently. I don't think we as citizens of the United States know that. But there are many ways to look at the concept of death, right? Everything that is alive will eventually die. Like that is a fact. So we can mourn it, which is perfectly normal, when someone we love dies, but somebody, I think it was my sister actually, she shared this metaphor for death that I never forgot. And I thought it was so interesting. If you look at life, it's like a party. Starts at 8, it ends at 12. Are you going to spend the whole party going, holy shit, we only have 2 more hours? Or, oh my God, the party's going to end soon. Or are you going to just have like the kick-assiest party ever, right? So that's how I choose to look at death. I happen to not have an innate fear of death. I'm like, I could die tomorrow, okay, so had fun while it lasted. That's just me. I know a lot of people don't necessarily look at it that way, but we can shift our perspective when we are given different ways of looking at things. And I just found that one to be helpful.
I like that, Shira. For me, my perspective changed with my life, certain life experiences. And basically, so I never really thought too much about death. And I think I probably was afraid of it if I did think about it. But I don't remember giving it too much thought until I was diagnosed with cancer at age 32. And then I was terrified of it. All of a sudden, it became this big thing that I was so terrified of. It took up a lot of energy and a lot of it was kind of haunted me. It was this dark cloud for a few years. And I think at some point, years later, I actually sat with myself and dug into why am I so afraid of that? And I think I may have mentioned it on another episode or whatever, but one day I was like kind of in a meditative state, and I was just really trying to imagine that, like, okay, so if I died, what would that be like? And I sat there and it wasn't so bad. Is the ultimate result was that in my mind, when I played it out, however it would be, if I died from cancer or if I was on a deathbed for whatever other reason, there's nothing else you could do at that point. You have to surrender. Mm-hmm. And for me, that really shifted my perspective. And I'm happy to say I'm no longer afraid of death. And I am actually trying to practice living like it is a party, like you said, Shira. So that's a great concept, because like all we could do now is do the best we can and have as much fun and joy out of this life while we are here, and if death comes tomorrow, like, we don't know. Nobody knows. And anyway, so for me, that shifted my perspective, and should I get cancer ever again, which I don't think I will, I won't be afraid of it anymore. I'm just not.
Oh, I love that. It's just like not having anything holding you hostage. It's great.
Yeah. And those thoughts, that I had, and that fear, and it happens to so many of us with so many things in life, and not just illness, but that fear and those types of thoughts are very toxic. They are very toxic, and they can just bring on more illness. It's just kind of like you can go down that rabbit hole easily.
Well, you know, you guys, that we had my mom on the show not that long ago, and she is a psychic healer. She does past life regression. She took me to get my first past life regression and a life between life reading when I was like 17 or 18 years old. And like, I didn't really know if I believed in it at the time. Like, I don't really think I thought about it much as a teenager, but there were like things I was struggling with that seemed to be these ongoing patterns. And I had this experience. It was very, very vivid and very, very real. Apparently it's very easy to hypnotize me. Michelle said the same thing when we had her on. So the concept of this life is a temporary stop on our journey of this soul that's been here since the beginning and will be here until the end of time. And that time is not even a linear thing, that it's this, you know, ongoing loop. And we came here to have these experiences and these lessons, but like, potentially your soul has been in other realms and other planets and all of these things. Like, do I think about these things on a daily basis? No. But the idea that when things are hard, or when, you know, somebody passes on, that they're seriously just passing through a doorway into their next experience, and they get to be with you. You know, like, I've had experiences with my grandmother coming to visit me. I've had, you know, my mom tell me that she's spoken to her father and her mother, and like these things. And we actually made a joke once about how like everyone's going to be crying at my mom's funeral except for me, because I'm gonna be like, what are you all crying about? Like, I'm gonna talk to her tomorrow. It's not that big a deal. Like, it's almost like what we are so afraid of in a lot of ways is like who we leave behind. You know, will they be sad? Or knowing that they will be sad is really hard for us because we love them in this lifetime. But I feel like once you pass through that door and once you are on the other side, you can just see like, oh, you know, everything is just love. Everything is connected. We will always be connected to these groups of souls that we came here with. It's not a coincidence that we've met each other in different lifetimes. I would love to know all the lifetimes I've known you guys in, because it's pretty darn clear to me that we've had lifetimes before this together. So it's interesting to see that this place is just it's a temporary party. And you can like live it to the fullest and try to squeeze every experience out of it, or you can like be terrified of what's next and, you know, be a party pooper.
So Juji, I have a question for you. So
Uh-huh.
being that your mom does this and has been into that and that whole concept, is this something that you've believed in for all your life? Is this something you knew? When did you come to this understanding?
I would say that even if I didn't consciously walk around with it my whole life, it was always just kind of there. And then like, you know, 5 years ago, I started this really like very concentrated spiritual journey. I would say, you know, it wasn't like a dabbling. I was just like head first into the deep end. And part of that journey was to learn to open the Akashic records, which we did an episode about. And I don't do it habitually anymore. It was a really amazing tool for me at that time, because again, it's about opening up this portal to all truth over time. And that's when I saw like how temporary this was, but how permanent your soul is, and like how much it's experienced over time. Like, I don't really feel like we could even wrap our minds around that fully, because it's such a long time and it's so vast and expansive. So like, no, I don't walk this earth like every single day, like, I am infinite love and my soul has been here forever. But like, I do think that that is a helpful thing to just like sit with when something is really, really hard. Like, you just know that there's a reason why this is happening. There's a lesson that your soul decided to come down here to experience. Like everything happening for a reason is not a lot of the times not good enough when you're sitting with the shit, so the greater plan feels so much more tangible when you're like, okay, I came here to have these experiences. I chose this. My soul chose this. I don't get to know why. Maybe I don't even get to know why in this lifetime. But to understand that there is a purpose for all of it feels so much more manageable in a way. To me, I don't know. It just does. And actually, I think a big part of my healing journey was understanding those soul contracts, not just the contract that I have with myself, but the contracts that I have with others before I came here. I have a friend who described it in a funny way. She was like, it's like your soul is at a video store and it's like browsing through all of these different videos and these lives, and it like picks it up and like you read the back of it and you're like, dentist, huh? No, I'm gonna keep looking. And then it goes to the next one and they're like, spiritual warrior, I'll take this one, because they're like, F yeah, that sounds crazy. So like that's kind of the attitude that I have. Like, I didn't come here to have an average life, I didn't come here to just like pay bills and die. I came here to like work through some stuff, and I can tell already that there's like generational stuff that I'm working through. So when you start pulling that thread, it's never ending.
Yeah.
Oh,
This got real existential. That usually does. Thank you for that question, Lee.
You're
Juji,
welcome. Thank you for answering.
I love what you said about like how it's just there's pieces of it that are more manageable or easy to digest or even just be comfortable with. Like, I think that your perspective of death should be something that makes you comfortable. So, if you're uncomfortable, maybe be more open, ask other people what their perspective is, or listen to a show like an episode like this, or because whatever's going to make you comfortable in this physical space reality that you live in, right? Like, I don't want to walk around scared of death. I don't want to have an experience where I'm, all of a sudden scared of death. I've had like deaths in my life that happen, and in those moments, it tends to make me look at my own mortality, which feels really scary at times, because then all of a sudden like these thoughts are entering your mind that like don't normally enter your mind on a daily basis. And those can be really scary. But what keeps me going is kind of exactly what you mentioned. Like, what makes me most comfortable is, and actually it was Abraham Hicks, who I think was the first person where I didn't give, like you, Lee, I didn't give death much thought. And then Abraham Hicks came into my life and started talking about how, we're here to help the universe expand. Like, we're soul, spirit, whatever you want to call it. And then we like have a contract and come into this physical space reality where we are now these physical beings experiencing things. We're living on this edge of time, expanding, like creating expansion. And like, when I think of that, I'm like, that makes sense to me. Like, people are having children, they're bringing more people into the world. There's all these paths of work and creating. The amount of creating is like unbelievable on this planet, right? there's so much going on that we are expanding this whole world and learning lessons, maybe coming back to learn those lessons again in another way, or maybe it stops with us and stops with our generation. It's so different with everybody, but I do believe that we are here to expand and we are here to learn lessons, and we have an out date that we are not aware of, and it's better we don't know. That makes me feel better. Like that makes me feel better, especially when I see, when you hear of children dying, there's nothing good feeling about that. If you see someone who dies at 102, that feels kind of good. It's like, wow, they lived a lot. They did a lot, like good for them. They really got to live this life. But then you hear of a child dying, and that's really disturbing. So
Yeah.
there's some sort of peace that thought brings to me of like, okay, whatever the reason was, they came in for a reason. Maybe it was to fix their parents' marriage. Maybe it was like, who knows, right? But like, there was a reason.
Children can't do that.
But I've read stories about how a child gets cancer and passes away, and it's brought the parents back together who were divorced. Like anything
Right.
can happen. Like
Or it separates them.
Right.
yeah,
But I know what you mean. It's the effects of having
right.
a child die or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, and like maybe in that soul's contract said, I'll come in till I'm 5 and I'll help my parents learn a lesson. Right. Like I don't know, but it gives me comfort to believe that. I know that's not what everybody believes, but I believe that. And I also believe that they can perform miracles from up there or wherever up there is in their soul world that like they cannot perform here on earth. So I don't know, that just gives me comfort, especially for those who are close to me who have passed away. I really believe they're with me all the time. I really believe that they're helping the universe conspire to making things happen and helping people here in this reality.
Yeah, there's so much we don't know. That's why it's so interesting. I always encourage people, like, because death can be like a taboo subject. So it's always good to like seek out more information. Like, is there another way to look at this? But I have to give a shout out to my brother-in-law, who, if he ever watched this, but I'll probably have to tell him that I talked about him, so he will watch it. He wears a bracelet, one of those Live Strong kind of bracelet, and it says Memento Mori on it. And that's Latin for remember you will die. And it's a reminder for him every day to one day you're going to die. Like that is a fact. So how are you living your life today? And I noticed that some people who have a fear of death, it reminds me of Hamilton. I don't know if you ever saw the show Hamilton. The theme of time in Hamilton is so pervasive. He was very prolific, Alexander Hamilton. He wrote a lot of things. And in the show, one of the lyrics is, you're living like you're running out of time. And this notion of running out of time can be a catapult to, oh, wow, I really have to focus on my gift or what I came here to do. And running out of time can also be hugely stressful. Like, oh crap, I'm running out of time. I got to do this, that, blah, blah, blah. So to me, it's such an interesting concept because I'm, obviously we're all getting older, but as the oldest of our group, I just turned 58. And I'm like, there's some things in your life that you want to make change on. Like, what the hell are you waiting for? Like, just do it. And so this conversation we're having now it's like I'm trying to be at ease with it, but then there is that, like, I remember that almost every day. I remember the Memento Mori. I have it in my meditation. What if today were my last day? There's a quote: live as though you were to learn as though you were to live forever, live as though you were to die tomorrow. And it's funny, it could either like evoke stress and I'm running out of time, or it could be like, oh, okay, well, I'm here now, so I'm just going to enjoy it. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting conundrum.
That reminds me of also like just kind of surrendering, because there's only so much we can, accomplish, in our life or in a day or in a month or whatever. And we have all of these, goals that we want to get to. But, it's interesting you mentioned Hamilton. I'm actually going to go see Hamilton. Never got a chance to see it in New York, but I'm going to go to Fort Lauderdale in November. So I look forward to that. But I also wanted to kind of, I think you alluded to it, Shira, and so did you, Kim, about the timelessness of it, right? And I remember also hearing Abraham Hicks say time and time again that there is no death. There is no death. Like, we are souls, right? And our souls live on forever and again and forever, but just in different physical bodies. So that also, yes, helps me wrap my mind around a concept, that, okay, this goes on somehow. And for now, in this lifetime, I'm in this body, and we're all in these bodies, and this is how we are physically, but our souls will always continue, and there are lessons to be learned every time we are in physical bodies. And that's when we feel pain, they say. That's when we feel pain. That's when we feel emotion. That's when we feel heaviness and depression and frustration and anger and all of these things. And yeah, and when we leave the physical bodies, supposedly all of that goes away. So there is also, in a sense, something to look forward to, as
They say the whole white light
Light
thing,
sound.
right? Oh, I see a white light. right?
white
I
light,
definitely, yeah.
there
I
are
definitely-
people who have documented their death experiences, not they don't even call it sometimes near death. Sometimes I've seen it, it's on YouTube. They have these videos of, people who have gone through something or some kind of a physical trauma. They were in the hospital and they literally were out for whether it was 10 minutes or an hour, but they have all these stories of what they saw and who approached them and what the messages they got. And it's fascinating.
Yeah, it
And
is.
they come back and their life has changed.
Right.
When they
Like,
come
I
back,
was-
yeah.
Hovering over my body, I saw a white light, grandma title came to me in a dream. Like, there's so many, but there's a lot of similarity to those stories, which makes you go,
Yeah, and most of the similarity, the underlying similarities that I've heard were all really amazing, good things. It's like everyone was like loving it. It's almost like they wanted to stay. There was an inclination to stay because it was so amazing. But some came back because their loved ones still needed them, Very interesting.
So beautiful. Oh, ladies, I think that that's such a perfect place to wrap this episode. Well, if you've enjoyed our conversation, please subscribe to our channel and be sure to let us know if you have any topic requests or questions by commenting below. We'll see you soon. Thanks so much for watching, everybody.
bye.
Bye.